And welcome back, everyone. We're going to talk a little different topic today, and that is the topic of organization. Now, up to this point, you may have done some organizing, but we're going to take a moment to kind of take a step back and look at how we can use it to make our role as creating animation projects a little bit easier. So what I've done here to kind of get us started here is I've brought in a new folder here with a lot of the different files I've created through some of our different things that we've done. Now, it doesn't have everything here, but it does have enough for us to kind of use to kind of demonstrate how we want to do this. Now, you might have, of course, been already organizing or have some kind of structure in place, but not everyone necessarily has that right off the bat. And I'm going to show you hopefully a couple tricks to kind of help you out with that. So first thing I want to do is show you how to create a folder, because a folder is going to be really useful for putting different files and different things. So for example, we've had 2 different units so far of different topics that we've worked up. So I could create unit folders to organize those things. So when I want to make a new folder, you can see here in my animation 1 files folder, I have an option right here that says new folder. And if I click on that, it will of course create a new folder, and it will of course let me name that folder. Now if I, for example, forgot to, let's say I click off there or forgot to name it, whatever, and I say, oh, oops, I need to go back and name that, I have the ability to do so. I can just simply right click on this and I can choose rename. And it allows me again go back into this and change the folder name to whatever I want. And I can just hit backspace and type in here our folder name. So let's go ahead and make one for pixel art. And I'm going to create another folder. This time I'm going to just right click in here. This is another way to do this. I can either click new or I can right click and go down to new folder. And this is going to be pixel images. So I've created the 2 folders that represented the 2 units that we have done. And that's perfectly fine. And most of these things that you see right here are from our pixel images. So I can actually just go ahead and select all these images right here. And I can drag them into the pixel images folder. And you can see how this cleaned this up really nicely here. If I double click that, you will then of course see all these here. Now you'll notice also that this new subfolder that I just created has a different layout than when I was out here. And that's because this is a view layout. And I want to show you that because this is going to be very important for when you want to come through and organize different things. So up here there is a view tab. And now there are different ways to come through here and view different things about these folders. Now right now you can see in this view, because I'm on a Windows PC, you can see it says large icons. If I do extra large icons, it just makes it bigger. Small icons makes them really small. You can do medium icons. It's just simply giving a visual list of what it is. Now this can be really helpful for when I want to look visually for a file. So for example, these are both PNGs here. So it allows me to look really quick and easy. Oh, I want to find that PNG of that gem that I created. Here it is. I can click on that and it's able for me to find it. However, oftentimes I will find that, this is great, but it can be harder if I have a long list of files for me to kind of look and say like, hey, I need to make sure I upload the PSD file, or I need to upload a PNG file, or I need to go and edit a certain type of file. And I want to make sure it's correct. Now, the nice thing is you can see like the Photoshop files are all named PSD right here. So it makes it really easy. But what about these files right here? What if they weren't PNGs? What if they, for example, were JPEGs? Or they were GIFs, or they were some other format that I didn't notice. And you can see they do not have their tag here. Well, the way we can fix that is we can come up here and you can see there's additional options to us. There's list and there's details. You have tiles and content. These are all different ways of viewing the different files that we have in here. Now, if I hover over content, you can see it's really nice. Kind of gives me at a glance. It gives me some details about these files. So for example, you can see like right now fire is available. Oh, it's a PNG, tells me the dimensions and also tells me the size. If I switch to details, you can see it's a little bit more compacted, but doesn't necessarily give me as many things necessary at a glance. However, the nice thing about this, if I ever want to add additional columns here, like if I want more information, I can simply just right click here next to one of these, and you can see I have additional things. So if I want to see the dimensions of these files, I can just click dimensions, and you can see that it will of course add those dimensions in there for any of the images. If I go back to content, of course those dimensions were previously there, and you can see that is that same tag that I had before. So it's just another way of showing that, just in a different layout. I personally usually prefer to either keep in details. Content might be a little bit nicer if you want a little bit more visual aspect. And of course, icons are really nice if you want that quick glance view. All right, now a couple housekeeping things just real quick. If I ever wanted to come back and move something. So let's say I made a file in here and I really meant for it to go into PixArt. Well, there's a couple ways to do that. One is I could come in here. I can just simply right click and hit cut, or I can use Control X, and then I can go up to the other folder, right click, and paste that in here. Now that's real handy, but you can also, of course, move these images. So I'm going to go back to the Home tab here real quick, just so we can not get confused. If I right click on here, you can see there's not a move option available within the Windows system. Yeah, sure, I can move to OneDrive and stuff like that. But what if I actually want to physically move this? Well, you notice up here on the top, when I have one of these files selected, I have a move to and a copy to. All right, these are really helpful for me when I want to move a file, or if I just want to make a copy of it. Let's say I want to make a copy of a file. When we've done that before, this is a way we can do this outside of Photoshop, so we don't have to necessarily do file, save a copy. Of course, we can also delete files. We can rename them from here. So this is just a couple quick organizational things. And what I want you to do is go ahead and take your animation 1 files, go ahead and organize them. If you want to do some subfolders in here, like in your PixArt, because we had the 2 different sections, you can go ahead and organize them like that. Go ahead and organize things here. If you've been saving things to the cloud, that is okay. And the nice thing about that is you can still kind of go open things in the Adobe Cloud, but you can, of course, again, organize things that way too. So go ahead, take a time to go ahead and organize your files, make them a little bit easier to find, and that way, going forward, it's going to make your best practice that much stronger.